This video will be on the subject of the governing body. Now, obviously, I do a lot of videos about the governing body, especially about Tony Morris, who's I find that the most intriguing of all seven of them. But yeah, I mean, the governing body is a subject that I think interests most Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses alike, simply because they have so much power over people. And one question that seems to come up quite a lot, whether on Facebook conversations or in forum posts, is do they know what they're doing? Are they aware of the fact that it's all a load of nonsense? Are they consciously scamming people and conning people? And remember reading something about Ray Franz being asked this question along the lines of, it wouldn't surprise him if there was maybe one or two who were a little bit more cynical, shall we say, but for the most part he thought they were all just deluded. Go one further than that, and I would say they're all deluded. And I know that this probably some of my listeners won't agree with this, but let me at least explain why I've come up with this conclusion. I've obviously listened to many hours of governing body talk recordings, and I've listened to them, talk for hours and hours and hours about Jehovah and the Bible and the paradise hope and the heavenly hope and that kind of thing. And I just struggle to imagine that any of them are closet atheists or closet agnostics, which in order to carry on that kind of scam day in, day out, week in, week out, you would need to be either an atheist or an agnostic. I don't listen to their talks and sense that I'm listening to someone who doesn't believe that God exists. Because when I listen to the governing body talking, I hear people who genuinely believe that they have God on their side, that they are representatives of God, that they are mouthpieces of God. And I think once you convince yourself of such a delusion, once you buy into that level of delusion, it becomes quite easy to excuse pretty much anything, because you can then know all about, for example, the UN scandal, the child abuse cases. You can know about all of the dirtiest of the dirty laundry of Watchtower. But if you believe that you personally are a mouthpiece of God, a tool in God's hands, as it were, then you can excuse all of that by saying, well, that will all be fixed in Jehovah's due time, because after all, he's chosen me to be in this position and to help sort things out. So I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that they are consciously, misleading people. Maybe I'm wrong, but in order to assert that they're consciously misleading people and con artists, you would need some kind of evidence. You would need maybe an email or a recorded conversation where they make an expression or say something that shows that they don't believe a word of it. But I think they do believe every word of it, and part of the reason they believe every word of it is because they've come up with most of it. Over the past few years, they've come up with the latest faithful slave teaching, which basically makes them mouthpieces of God. And when you are deluded enough to believe that, you can excuse pretty much anything. Look at all of the worst cults in history. Once people can get over the hurdle of believing that they are special representatives of God on earth, ambassadors for Christ, call it whatever you will, once people can get past that level of narcissism and self-importance, you can excuse pretty much anything. I really do believe that. So those are just my thoughts on that question, and